One. Hi guys, and welcome to the latest podcast of YarninBlak. So I've got a special friend of mine on Marika. I'll introduce you to her in just a few minutes. But first, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands that I'm calling in from. I'm here in Balwyn Q on the land of the Wurundjeri people. I'd like to pay respect to their elders past, present, and to acknowledge the young people coming through who are going to be our future warriors and leaders in the future. But today I've got a really special guest on, Marika. Hi Marika, how are you?
Hi, good.
Good. For people that don't know you, I'm just going to throw it over to you. Who are you? Where you're from?
Who am I? I'm a proud Yorta Yorta woman. Um, our lineage follows Mel Jackamos, who was my grandmother, follows her line. She's was born on Camera, raised on Camera. I'm also a proud African American woman and a Greek woman. So I guess when it comes to diversity, I've pretty much got it all.
Yeah. So where people
Yeah.
if people don't know where Cummer is, where is it exactly?
So Camera's on the New South Wales side of the New South Wales Victorian border, right on there on the Murray River. The town Barmer is right next door to Camera. So yeah, Chuka in that Goulburn Valley area. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you always lived in Melbourne?
Always lived in Melbourne,
Melbourne.
yeah.
Yeah.
Raised here, went to school here, never left.
Uh,
Yeah.
so when you were at school growing up, how much Aboriginal issues were taught at school that you went to, if any?
Oh, very little. Um, So my older sister and I went to a private school in Toorak called St Catherine's. We were the only Aboriginal kids there. This is back in the early 80s that we started there in primary school. And, our mum wanted us to have a really good education. And so this opportunity came up for us. So she sent us there. I don't remember anything being taught about Aboriginal people or culture or history. If there was, it was very little, and that's probably why I can't remember any of it.
Yeah.
Um, I remember in I think 88, which was that bicentenary year.
Or 88, I think.
Yeah. I remember in 1988 they were handing out bicentenary medals to all the kids in the schools in
Yeah.
Victoria.
Yeah.
And we were, of course, so we were set to get these medals. And I remember mum and my grandma sort of trying to educate us about what the bicentenary is and that, these medals were really not appropriate and really not anything great or, the symbolism of them weren't great for our
Yeah.
people. So I remember that year handing it back
Yeah.
to the teachers or whoever was handing them out to us, and my friends and sort of teachers and that around us was like, "Whoa, what's going on here? What are you doing?" So yeah, that was a really big deal for me, and I think at that time a lot of people just didn't know, and I was this little 13-year-old doing a little act of activism at my school representing my people, and yeah, a lot of people just didn't understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got to finish year 12?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And what did you do after year 12?
After year 12, I went straight to university the next year after school, which is what at the time we were sort of expected to do and kind of pressured to do, particularly at the school that I went
Yeah.
to. I hated it. I was at the old Deakin out in Rusden
Ah, yes.
out there in Clayton doing information management, which I think was about my third preference, something like that. Hated it.
Yeah.
So, and there was just parties every day on campus, which was just like, wow. So I ended up dropping out of that and I ended up getting a couple of jobs as a young person. I didn't have my first job until I was about 19,
Yeah.
which was really tricky. It was with some little company, private company in South Melbourne. From there, I started working at Aboriginal Fairs, the old Aboriginal Fairs that was in Victoria Parade in East Melbourne.
Yeah.
And I loved it. Like that was probably my first proper job that, I worked in admin and sat on reception there and absolutely loved it. And then a couple of years up, so I just worked for a bit and then went back to uni years later. after I'd had, I think, already had 3 of my children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you study when you went back?
Psychology.
Gee, wow.
Yeah. So I did want to be a psychologist, but I didn't quite get there.
That's all right.
I had too much going on, so I didn't quite, it was amazing I even got through uni, but I didn't have the time really or the patience for the rest of what I had to do, which is a big regret of mine, but
Yeah, that's
not too late though, probably.
no, you can always go back and do it.
Yeah, I could.
Yeah.
Always, yeah.
Yep. And all your kids now finished school? Still got any at school?
I've still got one who's about to go into VCE.
Oh,
She's
wow.
starting year 11 this year. Yeah, which is very exciting. So that'll be my last child. I've got 4 kids, so that'll be my last child to go through school, and yeah. It's been a long. When you feel my oldest child's nearly 30, so I've been parenting for a really long time.
Yeah, and you still look great for 40.
40. Oh, you're sweet.
Yeah, you're very young. And so for a while you worked in Aboriginal health as well.
So sorry, why?
You're working in Aboriginal health at the hospital as well.
So I was at Mercy for 12 years. So that's where I left earlier. Well, last year now it is actually. Before that, I worked at the Women's for 11 years. Yeah. So I've worked in tertiary health for well over 20 years now, which I've absolutely loved, and has probably really, shaped a lot of my passions. So yeah, it's definitely been an experience.
Yeah. So where do you see yourself in like 5 or 10 years' time?
Oh, got me thinking now about that psychology career. Yeah. Where do I see myself? I'm not sure. I guess what I really love and thrive in and find that I'm at my best in is working with people, helping people, supporting people. Years ago, I kind of knew that I really wanted to carve out a career in leadership as well. There's a psychology and all of that side of things that I love, but I also I love leadership. So I really, I think that anything that sort of leads me back to that or in that sort of area is where I want to be or would hope to be, or any kind of support role of some sort. Yeah, definitely.
So I know in hospital settings, the word that gets thrown a lot around is cultural safety. What makes you feel culturally safe when you go to a service?
Definitely just feeling safe to be who I am and feeling safe in my skin, and not feel as though who I am or how I look is threatened in any way, I guess. That, I'd be treated fairly, then that basically I can just be who I am and not feel that any part of that is a threat.
You mentioned community a second ago. What do you love about working with community and mob?
I think we just have this sort of inherent understanding of each other that I really love. And even then, when we just mentioned cultural safety, I think that it's something that I find really challenging to explain to other people. And so the way I sort of try and explain it to them is using different language, which probably is more around, people-centered care or, something like that. And when I think about people-centered care or person-centered care or patient-centered care, whichever way you want to talk about it or whatever words you want to use, I think that's just something that our people just get and just do without having to think about it. And just it's not something that has to be explained to us, because when we think about our mob, we have these, really special connections to our kin, to land, waters, all of these things that, that we just get and are really important to us, and family, which we just get, family, which obviously when we think holistically about care and support and that just are there, in our supports. So working with mob, I think, it definitely comes with challenges, because obviously, working for services where our people are not treated fairly, our people struggle to access.
Yeah.
They're not systems that were designed for us or with us in mind. They just sort of challenge every part of, our community. So, yeah, it definitely has its challenges, but it's something that just gives me definitely a great feeling of satisfaction and worth.
Yeah. And one thing that does help us a lot is our allies that we've got. I'll ask you a question, but what do you think makes a good ally?
Probably someone who has taken time to, to listen. Definitely would probably be the first thing.
Yeah.
To understand, that have, taken the time to go away and do some kind of immersion of some sort of their own without sort of being told, or have, sort of done their own research, I guess, or gotten to know Aboriginal people. They'd probably be allies. People that probably ask questions and listen more than anything are definitely out, and ask how they can be supportive.
Yeah.
They're definite allies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, I've got a number of things running through my head, but one question I'm going to ask you is about racism, and we see it, we experience it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that organisations are recognising that the lateral violence that Aboriginal people can also have against each other as
well? Do they recognise it?
Yeah, does organisations recognise the lateral violence that Aboriginal people actually experience?
I don't know. No. I'm going to say no.
Yeah.
No, because I think that one reason is probably, unless you've experienced it, that you just don't really understand it. I wouldn't even know where to start to try and explain really how lateral violence happens to someone who doesn't understand it. I mean, I think that maybe, and I'd really be careful about the way in which organisations profess to understand lateral violence, because they could be seeing it as some sort of ugly stereotype, I guess, about us. So I'd be careful about, whether or not I thought an organisation understood it or would even respond to it in the right way.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't want to just say no, they don't. But that's kind of a long-winded way of saying.
Yeah, it's a bit like asking another question: is do organisations think that they're culturally safe? Because
how long is a piece of string?
Yeah. Because I've heard organisations and management say things like, "Oh, yep, we're culturally safe. We're culturally safe. Look, we've had 15 Aboriginal staff in the last 3 years, but where are they now? Not here. But we're still culturally safe." According to who?
Yeah, exactly. According to who? How are you measuring that?
Yeah.
Is it are the community telling you that they feel culturally safe when they come there? I mean, that would be probably the most important measure. But obviously, there are lots of other things.
Yeah. So the role you've got now is much more strategic than, say, working in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Do you miss the patient-family interactions that you would have had in the hospital compared to?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I was in a management role at Mercy, so my role was very operational.
Yeah.
Supporting my team, etc. But I did, as part of that role, which is, just part of what we do, is I would also provide support to families and to patients and families if I needed to, because no one gets turned away if we're under resourced or anything like that. So yeah, it's a part of what I did for years. I did it at the Women's for years and did a bit of it while at Mercy, and even before working at the Women's, I was a youth worker at March Tucker Hostel for a while, which I absolutely loved.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do miss it. I do miss it, and that's what I guess I was saying, that when you said, where do you see yourself in a few years? I'm like, I'm that person that needs to be, on the ground.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Which is not to say what obviously I'm just sort of at a different end of things now. I feel like now I'm more background energy. We're doing a lot of things that will make a difference for our people and our consumers of forensic care, Aboriginal community, that consumers of forensic care, but it's just in a different sort of way. It's not in that sort of direct sort of front facing way, I guess, that I'm used to.
Yeah. If I could give you a magic wand and $1 zillion and say you can fix something in Aboriginal affairs, where would you start? What would you do?
Oh my gosh. Where would I start? Oh my gosh, so many things. One thing I guess that's always on my mind is that there is not enough. There's so many things, like equitable access to services, etc., etc. But probably the first thing I kind of think about is making sure that there's enough cultural journey training for organisation, for government, everywhere. All organisations. There's not enough of that. I feel like that's kind of, the foundation of what, a lot of us are trying to do, because, having worked in tertiary health for years and years, one thing that would sort of frustrate me a little, and I know there's people that may agree or disagree with me, but this is purely my thoughts, is that there's, we've created a lot of identified roles across mainstream organisations, across government organisations, hospitals, etc., that are there, I'm thinking primarily about liaison officers in hospitals. Their job is really hard. They have a really challenging job. And I started being a liaison officer back in the early 90s, or sort of late to mid 90s actually, when there was a very different way that all of those positions were governed by the Department of Health, but there just wasn't a lot known and appreciated back then about liaison officers. There was a few hospitals that had them for years in Victoria, but the one when I started at the Women's, there wasn't, we were still very new, and people were sort of like, oh, we don't understand what you do, and we don't know why you're here, and why do Aboriginal people need more help? Why don't we have, your role, those sorts of roles for all, vulnerable or disadvantaged people, which was really hard for me to try and navigate that at the time. I was really young, and it was really hard. And it still is quite hard. Obviously, the profile of liaison officers in Aboriginal health is very different from back then. We're talking over 20 years ago that this happened, but I just still think that those roles are undervalued, and they have this huge kind of a lot of sort of handball to them. They are put in really unsafe situations where they're expected to kind of do things that are way out of scope. There's this huge expectation. I don't feel as though that sometimes there's enough training available for those positions as well. That there's a lot of confusion or misunderstanding about what they're exactly there for and what their role, the duties in their role actually entail. So I think that the answer is not always creating more of those roles. So we want obviously our people to be employed in these places, but we need more of our people employed in other roles. So we need more of our doctors, nurses, allied health professionals, etc. We need more of our people in those roles. We need more of our people everywhere. So we not just have this kind of bubble of safety that we create amongst liaison officers, that our people, once they leave the liaison officer office, or they're not there, that everything goes to to crap. So that's my thoughts. I really think, how do we solve that? Well, obviously employment, cultural training. I know that cultural training is sometimes, people have different thoughts about that as well.
Yeah.
But, I just think that it's still, hopefully we would sort of rally more allies that way.
Yeah.
It gets people thinking, at least, even the people that don't want to be there, who they have to go because their manager said they have to go. At least, it's going to at least hopefully get them thinking.
Yeah.
I think would be really amazing.
Yeah, because education's so important. And when I look at it, you need education right through schooling as well. You need it in early childhood. You need it in primary school. You need it in high school to give you some foundation blocks. Then you need it in the courses that you study as well. Like, I'd find that even when I go and do cultural awareness training, I'm talking to doctors and nurses, social workers, OTs, physios that go, this is the first time we've heard this stuff. We never learned it in our courses. We never learned it at school. So why is it taking a workplace to have to teach you Aboriginal history and understandings? Surely it should be taught a lot younger. And
yeah, absolutely. And that should definitely not be their introduction to Aboriginal culture and history. Not at all. Like that, and the fact that people even now in 2026 are still saying that. It's concerning.
Because if you go back to what you were saying when I first asked you that question, what Aboriginal studies did you have growing up, which was very little. If you've got people that were in your class that may have done a health course that you run into in the hospital or in a setting one day, maybe they haven't had any of that training either. Even though you presume they would.
I mean, look, throughout the years of there's been students that will come to us and like, I need, as part of a unit, I need to do a project on something to do with Aboriginal health. So I don't know if that's consistent across a lot of courses, though, that they need, there's a component where they need to provide some kind of understanding of Aboriginal health. And even same with doctors, when I was at Mercy, we had a little bit to do with the junior medical officers, and they have this tiny bit of Aboriginal health that they need to have ticked off during their rotations, the interns, but it's really not enough, and it's really there's no teeth to it. Like they just can have it ticked, tick box, and that's it. So that's probably another thing that could be on the wish list then, is the magic wand. Just have that everywhere, through every course, throughout, consistently through schooling as well.
My magic wand's going to get a big use, going to be worn out by the end of that day, but I'll get it working. So I'm just watching the time. So another question I've got is, what would you like people to walk away with from our yarn this afternoon?
I don't know. Whatever they want. I mean, look, if anything, I love it when whatever I, yarn to people about, or what we talk about resonates with them or sparks some interest in people, and, people either want to reach out to me or collaborate in some way. I love it when that happens. Like, that's magic. I haven't been to any conferences in a really long time, but that's usually the places where, that sort of thing can sometimes happen. But doors always open.
Cool.
And
I'll make sure I have all your details on the bottom of the YouTube so people can actually make that contact with you. Well, I want to say thank you for hanging with me, and it's great to catch up and yarn with you. I was trying to work out how long I've actually known you for, and I'm thinking I remember actually working with you at the Royal Melbourne when I did something there.
It may have been while I was at the Women's.
Maybe at the Women's.
They're co-located.
Maybe it was at the Women's. Yes, and I came in.
That was a long time ago.
Yes, yeah. So I was just trying to think. Was that about 20 years?
Yeah, I left the women's in 2010, I think, around then.
That's what I was thinking. I might have met you in about 2008, 2009. Around that time, yeah.
Yeah, that's a while ago.
Yeah, without telling the audience, how old we are, but we look great for our early 40s, isn't it? Yeah. Hopefully they're sitting away from the camera and the light makes us look exactly like that.
Yeah, I don't think Zoom allows you to put that soft filter on there, so you might want to rethink using Zoom.
Yeah.
AJ.
I know. Look, I love the work that you do and respect you so much. So thank you for joining me. And guys, thank you for listening to the podcast. And thanks, Marika.
Thanks so much for having me. Take care.
Done. Out. How was that?
Yeah, that's fine. I'm sure I'll go away and think, I don't know, talk about that. But
I'll just turn it off. So anything that we say